All right, everybody. How's everybody doing today? So today we got a special. I haven't put up any content in a while, but a lot of people have been reaching out to me, asking me a question, how to get started in multifamily. And to be honest, that's really not my point of entry. I kind of grew up in the business when I was about 10 years old or something like that. And so my father eliminated the barrier to entry for me. And I always thought the grass was greener somewhere else. I studied a lot of different industries and businesses and finally ended up getting involved with multifamily. And I've been in multifamily for over 20 years. So my forte pretty much is experience in kind of managing, running, and closing deals in multifamily. But during the process of coming online, and one of the goals was to kind of connect with my tribe. And so one of the people that I really instantly connected with is my man Jerome Myers, who's created the Myers method, and he's really passionate about helping people, sharing information. He's done a lot of the research and study. One of the things I love about reading a book is that when somebody's spent 10 years, 5 years, or whatever in the industry, and they able to synthesize everything and put it into that book, it saves me a lot of time and energy if I can just get it from the source. So Jerome, what's going on? How are you today?
Amazing, my brother Pankaj. How are you? It's been a while since we've been on video together, but it's good to
It's
see
been a
you, my
while,
friend.
but lifelong friends, we're always there, right?
For sure,
For
without
sure.
question. You've done so
Brother.
much for me, man. Super grateful that you came into my life. I guess it was a little over a year ago now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of get to the chase. Like, really, what is the Myers method?
Yeah, so it's our four-step process for buying and operating multifamily properties. Find, fund, fix, and flip are the four steps. And I didn't realize that we had a process until my friend James Bryant said something about it. And it was after we started doing a number of transactions within the course of a year. He's like, "We're using the Myers method. We're using the Myers method." It's like, "What are you talking about, man?" He said, "Well, we've got the same process. We do it over and over again, and we're able to compress time. A lot of people are taking over a year and a half to do deals, and we're doing them in 60 to 100 and 100 days or so. So if we're able to do that repeatedly to get them closed, and then we actually know what to look at on the backside when we're operating them to make sure that we're going to continue to make profit, then we probably should share this with some other folks because you weren't able to get into the space just because of who you happen to be born to and what their focus was versus the space that you're going into. And so we started building that with the thought in mind that a little Jerome or a little Duran or a little James would be able to have the steps in front of them so that they knew what's where they needed to go and what they needed to do in order to actually get into multifamily.
So, how long have you been sharing this?
So we got really serious about it last year. We were testing and figuring it out for 3 years or so before that. And then last year, after we hit what we thought was a reasonable portfolio, we decided we would open it up and start teaching other folks how to do it. And it's really interesting because when we made that pivot and started doing the conference, which we're glad you're speaking at again this year, um, we started to find even more people who were interested in this stuff, man. And that for me is what it's about. You talked about going online to find your tribe. And I think we found a bunch of people who believe in loving on the property to get the property love back on them. And that's your language. I learned
Mhm.
that from you, man.
Right. So we're going back a little bit, like prior to you being able to synthesize something that you could teach other people. What was your story as far as you getting the education into multifamily?
Yeah, School of Hard Knocks. I did it the absolute wrong way, Pankaj. I was listening to 40 hours of content a week. And I remember when I was sitting with you when I came up to Pennsylvania, you said, make sure you're not overloading, make sure you're not over consuming, make sure you're not just taking so much in that you can't actually put anything back out. And early on, like when I was trying to figure out which way was up because I didn't know which way was up, that's what I did. I ended up being confused, frustrated. I was listening to a person from the north, the mid Atlantic, the south, out on the west coast, and in the Midwest. And all of them was telling me how to do something a different way, but it didn't actually fit the ball that I was playing with. And what I realized in hindsight was that curated content from one person that can give you everything that you need kind of step by step is the most efficient and effective way to get into the business. And so, you know, going over here to get one thing and then going over here to get another thing, what happens is there's a gap between the two, and we don't know what we don't know. The fancy way of saying that is you're unconsciously incompetent. And so you got these things, but you're dangerous. You know enough to be dangerous. I think everybody's heard that before. And so what I really wanted to do when we put this together, and it's an 11-week course, was walk people through it step by step. Here's what you need. Here's the gaps. Here's the places where you can lose money, to allow people to do this stuff in a structured, processed way instead of just kind of hodgepodge and skipping around.
So you have a 11-week process and it's online. They can take it at their own pace, or it's just kind of like, is it with a group or it's,
Yeah, so we've got two options, man. There's one, we're going to start on January 5th and go to March 16th, Tuesday night, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to put a cohort of 15 to 20 people together, and we're going to walk through the journey each
that's good.
week. You got homework, you got everything there so that you can go deep on the stuff that you need to go deep on, because we can only do so much in a group setting over the course of an hour and a half.
Hmm.
Then, if people say, hey, I can't do it at that time, or I need to do it on demand, we've got a virtual, online, at your own pace, you by
Okay.
yourself situation that people can grab at our website, myersmethods.com. Click on the button that says course, and you can do that. And it's the same content, it's going to be the exact same slides. The difference is going through with a cohort, going through with other people versus going through on your own. And what I found is when people go through in a cohort, they find other people to team up with because they're looking for folks who have the same interests.
That's good because you got the group energy too. You'll be able to feed off each other and everybody's entering at the same point of entry. And the whole journey, taking that journey together with a group of people is powerful, much more powerful than sitting by yourself and looking at a computer screen, you know. And if, for everybody may not be able to do that, or people want to, people are more, maybe they work better isolated, they can have that option as well. But for me, I would prefer being with the group, journeying with the group, and then each week being held accountable, and something happens powerfully when a group comes together on a continual basis with a common intention.
I
So
agree with you.
so one thing I know about you is you spend a lot of time acquiring information. Like you said, you were listening to all these podcasts, and then you went to a few seminars, or what was your?
Yeah, I mean, we did the weekend conferences and stuff as
Now a
well.
lot of
But
these seminars. So I just want to preclude a lot of these seminars. A lot of them I hear are kind of self-fest. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
They're not really seminars. They call them seminars, but they're basically an intro to upsell you, right?
that's what the whole game is, man. It's you pay something low or you go for free in order to be sold to on the backside. And I just didn't want to do that. I like for people to know what they're getting into. And when they get to the end of it, then that's that. Now, with us, you can go through the course, boom, you got the information you need. If you still need some additional help, then we can talk about one on one coaching. But there is no upsell at the end. It's you got everything you need in order to go do your first deal, knock yourself out. And that's why it costs more than what the other folks are doing. Because, you know, we just want to make sure that people are getting great content that is thorough. And from there, they can go off and do their thing. They can stay in the community if they want to, but we want people to be self sufficient.
When you say it costs more, a lot of these events, when they upsell you, I'm told, they can be quite costly, actually.
Yeah, I mean, so when people upsell you in a mentorship, it's usually a minimum of about 30 grand. And I've seen stuff go up to 50 grand. But that initial thing is usually less than $500,
Right.
right? And so our course is 2 grand for the live, and it's 2,500 for the on demand whenever you get around to it. But there is nothing on the back end to sell you. I mean, you can work with me one on one if you want that, but that's going to be the content's not going to change. It's all there for you in the actual course.
And that's a very reasonable, like around 2 grand, you're saying for the group, 11 week process,
Yeah.
taking them by the hand. and showing them all the basics.
Yeah, I mean, you you can't get it anywhere else, and we're the only ones that's going to teach you how to do what we call joint ventures. Everybody else is talking syndication. They're going to tell you how to do a deal with none of your own money, no credit, no experience, and nothing else. And anything that sounds too good to be true isn't true.
Right.
And I mean, but that's the game. And that's how to get folks to spend that type of money. It's like, oh, well, the only way this is going to happen is if you make a really significant investment. And we're saying, no, spend 2 grand, spend 2,500, figure out if you really like this, right? Go do a smaller deal. We tell people to do a deal between 500,000 and 1.5 million for their first deal, and figure out if you actually like being in this business. Some people don't enjoy the management. They don't enjoy the uncertainty. They don't enjoy the responsibility. But I want you to learn that before you go buy a used Mercedes or BMW, because I mean that's the equivalent of a car for a lot of people. So let's go make a smaller investment. Walk in, see if we like it. I call it getting tuna in the boat, right? Get a deal done, and then use that deal to spin up to the next, versus trying to go capture Moby Dick on your first deal, because he's going to sink your boat if you're not careful.
Now, let me ask you a question. Like, everything's been syndication, syndication, syndication when I was kind of looking at what's going on out there. But like, do you think that works in every economy?
I don't.
Because at that
I
time when I
think
was looking, I was seeing that we were riding an upward economy at that time, and everything was syndication, syndication, syndication. But then you need different tools for different economies. I would think.
Yeah, without question. Does syndication work in a downturn? It probably does, but here's the issue, Pankaj. When you go out and you don't have experience and you put other people's money in your deal, if something goes wrong, your relationships are dead and your reputation is destroyed before you even get started. And so this is why we're telling people to do it a different way. We're telling you to get your training wheels off with a small group of people that you know well, and then move up to the next thing, and then move up to the next thing. Everybody wants to take the elevator to the penthouse.
Right.
I want you to get off, I want you to see what's happening on the ground floor. Then I want you to go up a couple of levels, maybe on the second floor, see the view, understand the differences between those two, and then keep going up. But we like instant gratification, and that's not what I sell, because I don't think that's what lasts.
Right. So, you said you've been doing this for 3 years now. You had the 3 years we're kind of testing it, and then last year you went serious on it,
Yeah, yeah,
as far
yeah.
as like
So
putting out a formal package and marketing it and getting it out there. And January 5th is coming, right? This is good timing then, because January 5th you're going to start with a new circle.
yeah,
Um, um, I'm sorry, I froze for a minute. Yeah. So, what do you see going into this new year?
I
You
think
know?
there's going to be a lot of opportunity to buy deals if you've got the knowledge. I think every investor is working on four things, Pankaj: knowledge, deal flow, experience, and capital. If you've never done a deal, you don't have experience. Most people don't have enough capital to do it by themselves, so they need some help, at least the bank. And so the thing that you can control is getting this knowledge piece. And once you have the knowledge, it unlocks the deal flow. Having deals, having a deal makes you valuable to the people with experience and capital. And everybody says, oh, well, if you got a deal, the money will show up. That part's not true. Not in multifamily. You got to have some experience for the money to show up. You guys were able to do that $50 million fixer upper because you had capital, but you had the experience to actually operate the deal. The banks
Mm.
wouldn't have come in on your deal had you not had the experience to do something that crazy. And whether it's 50 million, 5 million, or 500,000, the banks are looking for that. And so you get the knowledge so you can go out and find a deal. You bring that deal to somebody who's got experience, and usually they'll partner with you in some capacity. And then whether you have the money, the person that partners with you has the money, or they have a relationship with somebody who has the money comes into the deal that way. And so you don't have to be super rich in order to run these deals, but you do have to have the knowledge so that you can find them.
Nowadays also the properties are being sold at a pretty high rate. Do you still see people kind of getting in there doing deals, even with the expensive prices?
Yeah, I think you're actually going to see the COVID discounts now, right? I think there's going to be owners who are feeling too much pain and they're going to be ready to divest. The issue is going to be,
Are you seeing
can
that
you
yet,
have,
or you're presuming it's going to come now?
it's got to come. It's got to come in 2021. I think everybody was saying it was going to happen in summer of last year or fall of this year
Right.
and winter. Like they were all early. I think 2021 is when this thing actually makes the shift. I don't think it gets better. I think it gets worse before it gets better.
Okay. And people are taking advantage of the lower interest rates that are happening right now. The interest rates, we see them low, and we don't see that coming up anytime soon.
No, I think interest rates
Unless
are going to,
unless there's a change of government, then that could come into play then. But
but even then, like because we're so worried about the economy just dying, I don't think we can raise interest rates. I think we've got to keep interest rates low so that people can put debt on stuff and still be able to make money. And that's why people are well able to pay more for these properties
right,
because debt service is lower. They can put more debt on it and still be able to pay it based on the income that they have.
right.
And, we're going to dive into all that in the course, but just know that low debt allows you to buy a bigger deal
Hmm.
because you don't have to pay as much in your mortgage payment.
So in recapping, what was the first parts of the formula that you were saying that James automatically pointed out to you that you guys were saying this is what we've been doing?
Yeah, so
What were the keywords?
our four-step process for Myers methods is find it, fund it, fix it, and flip it.
Flip it. So then, so when you flip it, how like what's your whole presumable hold period to flipping a property? Because it's not the same as flipping a house when they find and flip a house.
No, no. I mean, we expect to hold properties from 3 to 10 years, just depending on the asset and what our business plan is. And flip it isn't selling it all the time. It can be. Flipping
Okay.
it is what you talk about, which is being able to refi. The goal is just to be able to pull the cash back out and go use it somewhere else. You don't have to
Right.
take all of it, but you can take some of it in a refi, or you can harvest all the equity through a sale. And so, we can stack it up and do what we need to do with the property once we've executed a business plan. But the most important piece is that fix it phase where you're executing your business plan and making the property worth more than what you bought it for.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Can you share any quote unquote successes of Myers Methods graduates or people that have come through your training?
Yeah, I mean, the one that I think I'm most excited about, and we're still early in the process with him, but he went through Find It and Fund It, and now he's fixing it. So he bought a property, is 18 units here in Greensboro. Really crazy deal. He's got 14 at one place and 4 at another. Bought it off of a lady via phone. He called her direct. We were able to negotiate the contract. He bought that property for 500,000. It was worth 9 and some change. We'll
Wow.
round it to a cool million. So he closed with about $500,000 in equity on the deal. The bank appraised it at a 10 cap and it was like 750 grand. But the part that's most exciting for me is he's going to take the quad and he's going to sell that off for 200,000. So he's got 14 units for 300 grand, right? And it's worth 7 something all day. And so it doesn't take long of slamming those types of equity plays into your portfolio. And he bought it by himself, right? That you begin to grow immense wealth
How
because
much
now
did
you
he
take that and spin off into the next one.
how much did he need for his down on that deal? 'Cause he bought
He
for
used a home equity line with 100K.
okay. It's
Done.
very doable for a lot of people.
I think so. I mean, if you're more seasoned, between a home equity line and a line of credit, you can get it done. And I mean, what some people are also doing is instead of putting money in a 401k, they're pulling it out and putting it in real estate because they see that as a retirement account
Right.
for them instead of putting it in the stock market. And I mean, I sold everything I had in the market paying college. I'm totally out the market. I'm all the way in on real estate. So I mean, that's just one example. We had my buddy Devin, who I went to college with. He did his first deal. It was a 26 unit. He bought it for 1.35. It appraised at 1.75 on his first deal. Um, that one, we're deeper into the fix it phase, and we've got 2 more units to renovate and fill, and then we'll be back at 100% occupancy. Um, and then, I mean, our personal success, man, we've got properties that we've doubled and tripled the equity in the deal since we purchased them. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, there's people out there who are winning and winning big. So, and for the people who actually decide that, hey, this isn't what I want to do, that's a success story for me as well, because they didn't go spend 30 grand to find out, hey, this isn't for me.
Now check this. Like, what about the people who are just getting the YouTube education?
You're going to have gaps without question. It doesn't matter how much content you consume, because I know you haven't consumed more than me. You're going to have gaps when you get into the space. And because of that, you're going to set yourself up and you're going to walk into walls. You're going to bump your toes on things that you had no idea to even consider.
And even I can't imagine, I haven't scoured YouTube thoroughly, but like people on YouTube are just going to be total surface. There's not going to be
Without
any
question.
depth. They're just going to show you the flash and some of the trash. You know what I mean? They're not going to show you anything about the real process on YouTube. Like, what are you going to get on a 5 minute YouTube clip or
Yeah.
10, 15 minute YouTube clip? Listen to podcasts as you can hear them, their experience with deals and stuff, but they're not going to show you the process of like finding it and all that, you know. The,
They're not. And
nobody's talking to ABCs in any of this stuff. I would think.
no, they're not. And it's deceptive, because if you listen to podcasts, and this was my main gripe with podcasts, everybody makes money every single time. And that part's not true. You can't you can't operate a business and always make money. That's not the way that it works. And so we want to tell the real story so that people can actually have actionable steps and be able to have their eyes wide open when they walk into this
You
space.
also started the Missteps, Myers Missteps or something like that
Yeah,
podcast.
the Multifamily Missteps podcast, where we bring operators from around the country on to talk about those war stories for sure.
Right, right. Because every business is going to ebb and flow at any point. You know, there's times when more money's going out than coming in. It's always, you know, up and down. It's like anything. It's like the waves of the ocean. There's ebb and flow. So, yeah, that's good. So, any final things that we didn't think that we didn't cover? Would you like to
No,
say?
man, I really want the right people, the people who want to make an impact with their investments, to come into the community and learn how we're doing this. We buy deals at a discount so that we can invest in the property and make money. And that's what we're looking for, more people who are interested in that, because if you love on the property will love back on you for sure.
So, what are your details? How do they connect with you?
Yeah, so hit myersmethods.com forward slash, well, just hit myersmethods.com. And there you can see the course, the conference, and get the free 4 step guide. So even if you're not interested in grabbing the course, just grab the free 4 step guide on getting into multifamily investing. And then you'll get emails from me after you join, and we can open up a dialogue and start having a discussion about next steps. If
Where can they follow you? Like LinkedIn? What do you want? LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn heavy. Jerome Myers. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. Last name is Myers.
Yeah. So the Myers Methods is Myers and then
Yep.
methods.com.
Yep.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming out and helping me to help because the people keep asking me, you know, how do I get started? What book do I read? And I have nothing, and you keep popping in my head. But other than that, I don't like what book. What do you mean? What kind of book? Like you have to have a specifics of what you want to learn because 101 book is going to give it all to you. You're going to give you pieces of it, you know?
Yeah.
So appreciate you coming
Sure,
on.
man. Grateful for the opportunity, Pankaj. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, brother. Have a good day.
You too.